Hi, kindergartners. My name is Mrs. Rose, and I'm so excited to see you today. I am looking forward to teaching writing with you during this time of distance learning. The first thing we're going to do is think about letter writing. So I want you to think back to the time in your classroom around Valentine's Day before spring break when your teacher was teaching you about writing letters to other people. And that's what we're going to get started on today. You can see up on the screen, I have a few ideas of why we might write letters to people. We might write a letter to someone to show kindness. We might write a letter to someone to say thank you. We might write a letter to ask some questions or to get more information. We might write a letter to share our feelings. Sometimes we need to write a letter to apologize to someone. And we might want to share information with others. Now, there are lots of reasons we might write a letter, and sometimes our letters might even have a couple of these combined into one. Here are the important parts of our letter. We know that every letter has to have these 5 important pieces to be complete. So let's go through them quick and remind our brains about all the important parts of a letter. We start right here with the heading. In our letter writing, the heading is going to be the date. So at the top of your page right here, you will write today's date. Then we have our greeting. Our greeting is a fun way to start out our letter. In this letter, we chose the word dear. Dear Mom. After the word dear, it's very important that you don't forget to write who the letter is for. The next part of our letter is the body. This is where you're going to write about what it was that you were thinking about from the first page. If you're writing a thank you letter, this is where you're going to tell someone thank you for something. If you're writing a letter to ask questions, all your questions would be right here in the body of your letter. And then the closing is where we get to choose a fun way to say goodbye from our letter. Here we chose the word love, and after that is where your name will go. Now when we're choosing the greeting and the closing, we can choose some fun ways to start and end our letter, and I'll show you a few examples of those. You might choose for your greeting to say hello, hi, hey, dear, howdy, or greetings. There's other ones as well. You might choose for your closing to say love, from, bye, toodles, peace, or XOXO. Lots of choices to close your letter. Now, I wrote a sample letter, and we're going to go through and make sure that I have all 5 of those components that we need to make sure that we write a great letter. Can you help me make sure I have everything? Let's start up here at the top. I have the date. Remember, that's the heading. 4/14/20. That stands for April 14th, 2020. Then I'm going to start with my greeting, and here I chose the word dear, just like the last letter. But remember, there's lots of different choices for how you want to use your greeting in your letter. And I wrote the word teacher in parentheses. Today, you're going to write a letter to your teacher. So instead of writing dear teacher, you might write, hey, Mrs. Rose, or hi, Miss Coleman. And then here's the body of my letter. This is where I write the sentences of what I want to say. I am glad you are my teacher. I wish we were at school. Do you like teaching from home? From, that's my closing. I could have chosen love, your friend, your student. I chose the word from, and then underneath, you'll notice I used those parentheses again and wrote your name. And that's where you would put your name in that spot. So let's count and see if I have all 5 of the components. I have my heading, that's 1. I have my greeting, that's 2. I have the body of my letter, that's 3. I have a closing, that's 4. And then my name would go at the bottom, that would be 5. All right. Now, your job today is to write a letter to your teacher. Now, you don't have to send it to them. You don't even have to take a picture of it and send it on Seesaw unless they ask you for it. But I'd like you to write a letter to your teacher today. Tell them anything that you're excited about, anything you're wondering about, any ideas that you might have about your learning, questions, whatever it is. I want you to think about writing a letter to your teacher using all 5 of these important parts of a letter. We also know that we are almost first grade writers, and we know that first grade writers have really strong sentences. They have capital letters at the beginning of their sentences. They have spaces between their words and punctuation. Does anyone remember what that is? Yep. Periods, question marks, exclamation points, punctuation at the end of our sentences. We also know that first grade writers do very nice letters with their handwriting, don't they? So we want to make sure that our letters we're going in the Brookview way. We want to make sure that our letters are nice and neat. We want to do our very best work. I hope you have fun writing a letter to your teacher today. I'll see you back on Thursday and we'll write another letter. Have a great rest of your day, kindergartners.